Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, Susan, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We are here for you. So if you want to call and talk sports, this is your place to do it. All you have to do is call 412-575-2600. And we will begin to entertain those calls. Right now, though, our opening monologue brought to you by Gene Collier, legendary columnist of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Let us know what you think. You can tweet us at KDPomp, at Gene Collier, and we'll begin with the news of the day with regard to the Steelers, because Ben Roethlisberger was on with Cook and Pony today on 93.7 The Fan, and didn't hold back his criticism, his disappointment with how the Steelers drafted last weekend, specifically why they took a third-round flyer on Mason Rudolph, quarterback out of Oklahoma State, 1 year after they took a fourth-round pick, Josh Dobbs. So the question is, Gene, why is this an issue with Ben, do you think?
Well, if you read the comments or listen to the transcript of the show, there's really not a lot that I found newsworthy, except to say that, you know, Ben has always been a player, Bob, who knows the right thing to say and, you know, says it 95% of the time. But he didn't today. He seemed to go out of his way to provoke, you know, the Steelers draft operation. And even to provoke Mason Rudolph for no reason that I could understand. Ben has gotten to the point in his career, I guess, where he feels he can do and say what he wants. He's made a tremendous amount of money in the game. He could walk away from it tomorrow. He could walk to another team if he wanted to do it that way. But these were curious comments coming from him. I think that's the news, not necessarily anything that he said.
Right, but the fact is he could have just ignored it altogether and say, hey, you know, they have a business to run and I have a job to do.
Right, but there again, this is one of those catch-22s for athletes where, you know, if they generally say nothing, and they generally say nothing, we criticize them for that. Then when they say something, we criticize them for that. I mean, they can't win in this regard.
No, I understand. But what it does is open up a lot of second-guessing in terms of both the team and him. And when you look at it, you know, all you have to do is look back to 2017, January, when Ben Roethlisberger told them that he was going to go year to year, so they have a duty to think about the future. And the future may be without Ben Roethlisberger. Then that all changed, and now he said he wants to go 3 to 5 years. But again, they have to think of
about 5 to 7 years, 7 to 10 years. I mean, this is ridiculous.
You know, the Patriots went down this road before too, when they drafted not only Jacoby Brissett, but also Jimmy Garoppolo in the event that Tom Brady wouldn't be able to play at a high level. Right. And so now he's 41. He says he wants to play until he's 45. They're in a situation that, what do you do now? They drafted someone in the 7th round this year, but that's certainly not a franchise successor to Tom Brady. This after they had one in Jimmy Garoppolo and had to trade him because he was entering his 5th-year option, and he hadn't done anything in the first 4 years.
Well, even though Ben says he told the Steelers there's no reason, there's no need to draft a quarterback, you know, Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert have been saying for a number of years now that they have to do some you know, what's called due diligence on these available quarterbacks. And it just so happens that Mason Rudolph was there when they drafted in the 3rd round, which apparently was a great shot to them because they had a first-round grade on him. And so they took him. What if Ben Roethlisberger never plays another game? What if he's injured in the preseason or in camp? Then the Steelers look pretty good, don't they?
They do. You know, and the question is, you know, I had a criticism last year with the drafting of Josh Dobbs just because they already had a backup in Landry Jones. They signed him. There was really no reason. They could have used that 4th-round pick. Now, you can argue the same thing for this year. They can use the 3rd-round pick that they got to help their team this year, and I think that was Roethlisberger's message as well.
Yeah, I mean, they did draft 2 players, I guess, in the first 4 rounds or 5 rounds who, you know, are years away from getting on the field, that's for sure. And that opens them up to some criticism, but you can criticize any and all drafts by all teams. It's a total crapshoot.
It really is. All right, the Penguins are in Washington, D.C., and this has become a best of 3. Game 5 tomorrow down in Capital One Arena, and I thought the Penguins hunkered down. And that would be a good description of what they did. They did not allow many shots to get to Matt Murray, and those who did, he made the save on. But this is an interesting series the way it's developing, and I thought it was a good question that Joe Starkey asked Mike Sullivan today. That is, this team is kind of, quote, wired to score. They know they have it in their DNA. How do you get them to buy into team defense? And when they won their 2 Stanley Cups, they had moments where they had to do that, and I saw that in Game 4, Gene.
Definitely saw it in Game 4, and I've never seen it to the extent that they deployed it in the third period. I thought their third period defense, playing with that 2-1 lead, was as good as I've ever seen, this great Penguin team play defense. They were just absolutely meticulous on defense. So many times when the Capitals got through the neutral zone, there were 4 Penguins right there waiting for them. I thought they were just tremendous in that regard. But the Capitals, I thought, played a great game as well, a great defensive game. There is no open ice. It's a really close series. It's really, really good. It's everything the Flyers series was not.
And you would expect it to go 7. That's what my pick was going in. So I would expect the Capitals to win tomorrow. I would expect the Penguins to hold serve on Monday and then lead up to a Game 7. We'll see how it goes. In the meantime, it looks like Tampa Bay may do away with Boston ahead of that. We'll talk about their series. An overtime game tonight, won by Tampa on the road again. That and 2 minutes for licking. Stick around. You're watching the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on Pittsburgh CW.